today we're going to actually looking at division with multiples of 10 because what we want to do is understand how do we do double digit and triple digit division just so that our brain can understand that. They want you to look at using base 10 blocks. So if we had 80 blocks and put them on 20 plates, you guys would see that I would get 4 blocks on each plate. So then they say, well, use the base 10 blocks and subtract groups of the same number. So I'm going to take that 20 away from 80, and then I'm going to take another 20 away from 80, and then I'm going to take another 20 away from 80, and another, and I see that I have 4 equal groups. And they show you how to do this. So I'm going to know that there's a 0 here. So this is really the number I'm using. I'm looking at this number right here. So that means when I line it up, I have to line it up at least 2 place values over. Because 20 can't go into 8, but 20 can go into 80. And at that point, I kind of just do this. Watch. Let's see if we can get this. I kind of want you to look at how many times does 2 go into 8. And that's what they're showing you here. I know that 2 can go into 8 4 times. But in reality, it's how many times does 20 go into 80? So let's take a look at that down here. Let's try looking at 90. So if I'm using base 10 blocks and each stick is 10, so I have 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. And I'm going to take away 30 each time. So 10, 20, 30, 10, 20, and 30, and then 10, 20, and 30. So that's what, if I subtract 30 repeatedly from 90, I'm going to get 3 times. But now let's take a look at what would happen if we did it this way. If I said, how many times does 3 go into 9? You guys would easily say 3 times. But now I'm looking at how many times does 30 go into 90. So let's try just doing the other method. So let's try number 5. Let's just say, I'm going to say, how many times does 4 go into 16? Well, I know that 4 times 4 equals 16, so 4 goes into 16 4 times. So how many times would 40 go into 60? It would go in there. Ooh, that was bad. Let's change the size of my pen back. It would go in there 4 times. 4 times 0 is 0. 4 times 4 is 16. And I get 0 remainder. Let's try that one more time under here for number 7. Again, we're going to hide that 0 just to help us out. So I'm going to change my pen. I'm going to look at this, and because I crossed out 1 0, I get to only cross out 1 0 here. So I'm looking at how many times does 8 go into 64? Well, I know that 8 goes into 64 8 times. So, and I'm looking at 64, so my number has to go right here. So 8 goes into 64 8 times. 8 times 8 is 64. I subtract, I get nothing. So now I bring down that 0. And I get 0. But I really messed up for you guys. So when I said 8 goes here, but I really forgot to say that I was looking at 80. So we're going to take this whole entire number and move it over one space, because if you remember, we're not looking at 8, we're looking at 80. So let's move all of this over and say 80. Let's try one of our story problems. For a city league, and remember we underline our numbers, 270 kids were divided evenly into 30 softball teams. How many kids were on each team? So I know that I'm doing division because it said each. And that's either multiplying or division, and they want to split those kids up. So that's division. 270 divided by 30. Again, if I'm looking at how many times does 3 go into 27, I know that's 9 times, but I really need to look at 30. Well, 30 can't go into 27, but it can go into 270. So 3 goes into 27 9 times. 9 times 0 is 0. 9 times 3 is 27. And so we get 9. But remember, in story problems, we can't have naked numbers, so we need to go back to the question. How many kids were on each team? And the question is kids. How many kids? So it's 9 kids. All right, come see me if you need some help.